Okay, so another one. Well, this is not a tutorial. It's like maybe it's the worst tutorial ever. Anyway, I have seen this a lot. There are many tutorials doing spline mesh components. They make cables, they spoil a lot of splines, and that's it. Cool. But there's nothing about the optimization and how heavy is it. I haven't seen cables. They put like 10 cables, 20 cables for doing like electric cables and finish. But actually, let me show you something. I have this simple spline, and I will create a spline mesh component from this spline. And pardon, I have 100 draw calls with this spline mesh component. 100 draw calls. So with this simple spline. So if you have like a cable, electric cable with splines, wow, you're gonna destroy your performance. So this is a spline mesh component. So what other way I have to optimize this? I can install as instance. So now I have only one draw call. From 100 draw calls, I'll go for one draw call. But this is an instance, so it is not pretty at all. So but as you can see, sometimes it's okay. Sometimes. So you have spline mesh component, 100 draw calls. You can do instance, one draw call. Then you can do this. What's this? This is spline mesh component and instance at the same time. With the wireframe. Oh, I cannot see in the wireframe mode. That sucks. Oh yes, I can see in the wireframe. This is both. They have this instance static mesh and spline at the same times, and is a lot less draw call. It's not 100, it's like 10 draw calls maybe. Let me see. Oh, it's less, a lot less than spline. So this is what it's doing here is like I check if the mesh, the angle of the mesh, or the tangents of the mesh of the beginning of the curve and the end of the point of the curve. If the mesh didn't deformate, didn't change much, I don't make a spline mesh component. I keep a instance from the mesh. So but I have no spline selected. Select spline actor generate. Okay. So I have like a angle angle value to check, like generate. Okay. This is the same. It's a spline mesh component instance. Like I see all this area need to be spline mesh component, so it's spline mesh component. And I see this is mostly straight, so this can be instance. So this keeps instance. Okay, so now I have a lot less draw call, and it's okay in my opinion. Mixing both components, and you can do it by the angle of the curve, or you can check the vertex position of each mesh. If the vertex position is different from the original position, okay, it's deformed. How much deformed? And then you balance the stance static mesh and the spline. So spline mesh component, a lot of draw calls. Don't use it, in my opinion. Don't use this. 100 draw calls, easy, crazy. Stance, okay. Stance and spline mesh component, okay. And then you have one more option. It's called a thickened spline, I think. It's a fake spline. Super fake. Well, it's not working well. Let me check. Then maybe I have some issues with my tool, but I fix it later. Let me see if I can do. No, maybe I have some bad parameters. I don't remember well, but Yeah, that's awful. Let's fix it here. It's getting better, right? Okay, that's better. Okay, what's this? This is not a spline mesh component. This is a mesh. But the thing is, this mesh look like a tube, but it's not. This is one draw call. Looks pretty good, and it's very fast. What is this? Is this a plane that's always looking the camera? So it's fake. It's all fake. And the triangles also is a lot less. You see? You can just make cables. You can make a lot of cables with this, no problem in performance. How you do this? This is very easy. Is this node already made for you inside Unreal Engine? Just use it and forget about Spline Mesh Components. This is the best. You just put the world position on the thickening of the spline, and that's it. But what I do here, I'm making this mesh using geometry script, and then in the mesh I made using geometry script, I put this shader to fake, and this works beautifully. And there's some tricks that to make this work well. Uh, the mesh you are making, it must be really thin, like a hair. Look, I'm gonna save this mesh. Wait, do I have a save option? Nah, not work. Anyway, this is the real mesh is really thin. Like the real size of this mesh is around. Let me check. No, it's spline. Why I have a spline here? Okay, this is the size of the mesh. This is the real mesh. And then use a world position offset. It's fake the size of the spline. So it looks like a tube. It looks really good. So you have all these options to optimize your splines, your tube. And there's one more. This technique is made by me, but it's a little difficult. So let's do this. I have this spline, and I'm gonna install here. Okay, what's this? It's not a spline mesh component. It's not a special node from Unreal Engine. This is instance static mesh. Instance static mesh. But wait, it's the same instance static mesh, but it's deformed. It follows the spline. How? Well, easy. I made a node that take my spline mesh component, sorry. I made a node that take my instance component, instance, and I bend to follow this spline using world position offset. So turn world position offset on. I bend my instance to follow this spline. And one throw call. This looks really good. It looks like a spline mesh component, but it's a lot faster. And well, bend sciences. There is no much, but there's not much difficult stuff. It's really, to tell you the truth. Just taking the bounds of the instance and I rotate. I bend it. I bend the mesh using rotate about axis. I bend it in two ways. It's just need two. I think it's I bend it in Y and Z. The X don't need it. The X is the forward direction, so you don't need to bend the forward direction. You just bend the Y and Z. And after you bend these two, you add to the world position offset, and you have perfect bending. Stand static mesh following perfectly. It's fine. Super fast. Very good. I like it. That's it.